The twin suns of planet Xarren were setting. The sky was red and gold. Long shadows fell over the battlefield. Smoke rose from burning alien trees. Broken weapons, shattered armor, and green blood were everywhere. It was a place of death and betrayal. In the middle of the ruined battlefield, a young alien woman lay half-buried. Her name was Hyun. She was the princess of the Varelian Empire. Her purple skin was covered in dust and blood. Her golden eyes were dull and empty. Armor, once beautiful and full of royal symbols, was cracked and burnt. She looked like she was dead. Hyun had been brave. She had spoken against her father, the emperor. She tried to stop his wars. She wanted peace. But her own guards, the ones who promised to protect her, turned on her. They called her dangerous. They said she was mad. They wanted to keep their power, so they betrayed her. Left her behind, alone and wounded, to die in the wild. As darkness came, strange animals moved in the shadows. Night winds made the smoke dance above Hyun's still body. The world around her was cold and silent, would have died there. The fate had another plan. A human named Jin-Soo was also on the planet. He was from Earth. He was not a hero. He was just a mechanic on a cargo ship. But 3 days ago, pirates attacked his ship. He escaped during a big fight between rebels and soldiers. Since then, he had been running through the forests of Xarren, was tired, hungry, and scared. But he kept moving, hoping he could find help or safety. That evening, Jin-Soo heard a noise, thought it was an animal at first. But then he saw a hand move under rubble. He moved closer, hiding behind a broken tree. He saw the body of an alien. Her skin was purple and shining weakly. He saw the royal marks on her broken armor. She was important. Maybe very dangerous. Every voice in his head told him to walk away. This was not his fight. He was alone on a strange planet. He was human. She was alien royalty. But as he looked at her, he remembered what he had seen over the past few days. He remembered the Varelians killing their own wounded. He remembered how they laughed as they burned villages. He remembered how cold and cruel they were. He could not leave her there. Jin-Soo took a deep breath. He stepped out of hiding. He checked her pulse. It was weak, but she was alive. "Hey," he whispered. "Are you alive? Can you hear me?" She didn't answer. Her face was pale, her breathing shallow. She looked close to death. Jin-Soo looked around. The area was dangerous. Smoke made it hard to see. He had to move fast. He knelt down and lifted her carefully. She was light but wearing heavy armor. He put her over his shoulders and started walking. Every step was hard. He was already weak from hunger, but he kept going, told himself he could not let her die. After an hour of walking, he found a small cave in the cliffs. It was hidden and dry. Laid her down gently on a blanket he took from a crashed shuttle. Nearby, he looked at her wounds. She had cuts and burns all over her body. Some were deep and looked infected. He found a med kit in the shuttle wreckage. He used the tools to clean her wounds and wrap them with bandages. Jin-Soo worked all night. Made a small fire at the cave entrance to keep animals away. He melted ice to get water. Tried to give her sips, but she was too weak. Sometimes she shivered. Sometimes she cried out in her sleep, speaking in a language he did not know. Days passed. Jin-Soo never left the cave. He hunted small animals for food. He gathered roots and berries. He used pieces of metal from old machines to build traps. Made soup and tried to feed her a little at a time. On the third night, a storm came. Thunder shook the cliffs. Rain fell hard. The wind howled like monsters. Jin-Soo held Huin's hand through the night. He talked to her softly, even though she could not hear him. "Come on," he said again and again. "You have to wake up. You can't give up. I won't let you die." He told her stories about Earth. He told her about his little sister, about the way the sun looked in the sky back home, about the sound of rain on metal roofs. He talked until his voice was hoarse. He kept her warm with blankets and his own body heat. On the fourth morning, the storm was gone. Light came through the clouds. Jin-Soo was making soup when he heard A soft sound, he turned quickly. Hoon's eyes were open. They were tired, but alive. She looked at him with confusion and fear. Human. Her voice was broken, like it hadn't been used in days. Jinsu's face lit up with hope. He almost dropped the soup. Yes, I'm Jinsu, don't worry. I'm not with your enemies. Ha-Yoon tried to sit up. Pain flashed across her face. She fell back with a groan. Why? Help me, she asked. Her words were slow and hard. Because you're alive, Jinsu said. And because I don't leave people behind. For a long moment, Ha-Yoon stared at him. Her eyes were full of pain and confusion. In her world, kindness was a lie. Everyone wanted something. But this human seemed different. He wanted nothing. He was not from her empire, was not part of the war, yet he stayed. Ha-Yoon closed her eyes, exhausted. But a small spark of hope grew in her heart. Maybe she was not alone after all. Ha-Yoon's eyes were open now. Every day, she grew a little stronger. The wounds on her arms and legs began to heal. The bruises on her face faded. Her golden eyes became brighter. She could drink water on her own and eat the simple soup Jinsu cooked over the fire. Jinsu stayed by her side. He helped her sit up. He taught her some words in his language. She taught him words in hers. When they didn't understand each other, they used signs or pointed at things. Slowly, they found a way to talk. And slowly, they started to trust each other. At night, they sat by the fire. Ha-Yoon told him stories of her world. She spoke of the tall glass cities of the Varelian Empire, the flying ships that filled the skies, and the great halls where her father ruled. She told him about how she stood up in front of the council, trying to stop a new war. She told him how her father's soldiers turned on her in that meeting. She told him how they chased her across the palace and how she escaped into the Wilda. Sometimes she stopped talking and looked sad. Jinsu did not push her. He just waited. He was patient and kind. He made her feel safe. Jinsu also shared his own story. He told her about Earth, about green fields and busy cities, about how he wanted a simple life fixing machines. He told her how pirates attacked his cargo ship and how he ended up on her planet. He told her how afraid he was when he first ran into the forest, how he thought he would die alone. When Ha-Yoon heard these things, she realized he was like her, alone and lost, but still fighting to survive. Days passed. The bond between them grew. Jinsu started to smile more. Ha-Yoon started to laugh a little. She learned to stand with his help, leaning on him. Every day she walked a few steps farther, but one morning, as Ha-Yoon looked through Jinsu's old blaster scope, she saw movement. On a distant hill, small figures moved in a pattern. They wore dark armor with bright red marks. Ha-Yoon's face became pale. She knew those marks. They were from her father's royal guards. They are here, she said, in a shaky voice. They found me. Jinsu put his hand on her shoulder. Then we run, he said quickly. Ha-Yoon shook her head. I'm tired of running. If I hide again, they will keep hunting me, and others will suffer because of my father's wars. Jinsu looked worried. You want to go back to them? They tried to kill you? I don't want revenge. She said slowly, I want justice. I want to show them I am not weak or broken. Jinsu looked into her eyes. They were filled with fire. He saw how brave she was, saw how much she had suffered, yet she stood tall. He nodded, then I will. Go with you, Ha-Yoon's eyes widened. What? They will kill you if you stand with me. Jinsu smiled. I didn't leave you before. I won't leave you now. They gathered their few things. Jinsu helped her put on her cracked armor, was still marked with royal symbols. Ha-Yoon stood, straighter with the armor on. She looked like a princess again, but stronger. They left the cave and walked toward the soldiers. The wind blew dust around them. Ha-Yoon's heart beat fast. Jinsu walked by her side. His hand rested on the old blaster he carried. He was ready to protect her. As they came over a hill, the soldiers saw them. The guards raised their weapons, but then they stopped. Their eyes went wide with shock. The lost princess, who everyone thought was dead, stood before them, and beside her was a human. Some soldiers dropped to one knee. Others looked confused or afraid. Whispers passed through. The ranks, Haoun raised her head high. "I am Princess Haoun," she said loudly. Her voice was strong, echoing across the rocks. "I am alive, and I will not run. I will face the council. Will not let this empire destroy itself in war." An officer stepped forward. He wore black and red armor. His eyes were cold. "Princess, you should be dead," he said harshly. Haoun stepped closer. "But I am not dead, and I will not be silent." The officer hesitated. Then he looked at Jinsu. "And who is this human?" Haoun stood taller. "He is the one who saved me when you all left me to die." The soldiers looked at each other. Some lowered their weapons completely. They saw Jinsu's courage. They saw how he stood beside their princess. Jinsu stepped forward. "I don't want war," he said in a calm voice. "But if you try to hurt her, I will fight." For a long moment, silence hung in the air. Then more soldiers dropped to one knee. Others shouted her name. The officer's face grew pale as he saw the tide turn. In the days that followed, Haoun was taken back to the royal city. But this time, she was not a prisoner. She walked into the great hall with Jinsu beside her. Before the council, she told the truth of what happened. She spoke of betrayal, of cruelty, and of her dreams for peace. Many in the council listened. Some resisted, but the people outside began to chant her name. Stories spread of the brave princess and the human who saved her. The old order started to crumble. In the weeks that came, Haoun worked with new allies. She called for a council where every voice mattered, humans and aliens, rich and poor, and Jinsu stayed with her. Not because he was forced, but because he chose to. He saw her not as a princess, but as a person. Together, they changed the future of an empire.